Welcome to beautiful Costa Rica. Today we're at Café Batalla. Café Batalla is a small batch coffee farm in the Naranjo region of Costa Rica. They specialize in producing a fermented coffee that has a very unique taste profile.
This is a very small operation. I mean, we produce 36,000 pounds of fruit, and about less than half of that is green beans.
Okay.
And that's what we roast. We have a small roasting operation up there, and in recent years I've exported some of the green beans and exported some of the roasted beans, and I'd really like to stay on the roasted side.
Yes.
Just do the export on roasted
So
beans.
35,000 pounds is roughly how many kilos? How,
Like 16,000
Oh,
kilos.
so that's quite a bit. Okay. And do you roast it all on site?
Right,
Do you
right.
bag yours on site also?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's all from
Right.
growing
Yeah.
it to
Yeah,
start to finish.
Yeah, right.
And the reason you want to do this is you want to control the quality all the way through the process. right?
Well, yeah, and the economical part is also very important. I mean,
Yeah.
if we roast it, it's worth about twice as much,
Gotcha. Yeah.
or more than twice. Yeah. And then if you take, say, a 1 kilo bag, which is about, say, $20, and at a 1 kilo, you produce about 80 cups of coffee. And a cup of coffee would be, what, $2, say, times 80? That's quite a bit. So
Yeah.
it's quite a bit of difference if we roast it. And if you add water to it, it's more. So this is our receiving station. Right here. Everything's really dirty because we're not in harvest, so and we start harvest in about 2 months, so we haven't cleaned anything up. But we throw the fruit in there, and this is where we measure. We measure the collector's amount. We haul it on here, and we measure it here, and it goes all the way into there. And we use water from that tank to haul the cherries down, and they go to a first selection stage, which is the floaters. The floaters get separated, and the heavier beans go into the next phase, which we pulp. You can pulp, or you can dry as a naturals. And now we have another part now we've had for a couple of years, which is the fermentation part. So you can ferment in whole bean, or you can ferment in pulped. You can do both of them, both of the fermentations. You can do either one or the other. Okay. Whole bean, we float it, so it gets washed because of the water, and the floaters get removed.
Okay.
The heavy beans go into tanks, and in the tanks we add. There are several types of fermentation. There's an alcoholic fermentation that you do with yeast. Okay. And then there's the lactic fermentation that you do with salt.
Gotcha.
Actually, the yeast is yeast, and then the lactic is bacteria.
Okay.
So it's a different beast altogether. And what they do is they eat up the mucilage.
Okay.
on the beans. They eat the mucilage because it's full of sugar, and so they feed on that, and they release CO2. So the tank has to be completely shut because it's an anaerobic fermentation, so there's no oxygen in there.
Okay.
But they release CO2, so you have to have a little valve on top that
A fermentation lock.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Make
yes.
beer with.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Same beer, wine, yogurt. All of these.
So you're doing it with either the bean or the whole
Or
pulp?
the whole cherry.
The
We
whole
did
cherry.
with the whole cherry.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. What's the difference in time frame for the fermentation process with the whole bean versus it with the whole cherry?
We use about the same time.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah, we're standardized pretty much on 72 hours.
Oh, okay, interesting.
By the way, just
Yeah.
for a second,
Yep.
while you're right here, because part of coffee
Yep.
is our environment.
Yep.
Look at this.
I know this is. It's just
You're not going to see
Yeah.
anything like this in the rest of the world.
perfect rows,
Uh-huh.
and everything is like perfectly manicured.
same 500 liters that we use for hauling the fruit down, it's used all morning.
Okay.
It's the same water
Yeah,
that you
same
just-
water. Same water. So we're not throwing the water away and wasting a bunch of water. Just the water just to
Does that
float.
change? Does that change? How often do you change that water? Then is that
Daily.
daily? Okay,
Once
so
a day.
you use
Yeah.
whatever's picked that day, keeps using
Yeah.
recycled through the water through that, and then you do a new one from there. Okay.
Right.
Is your picking going to start soon?
No, it's about the last week of December. More.
December. Okay, so you got to.
So yeah, the higher you are, the more time you have to wait for the picking. Do the pulping on the machine. Not everybody likes the fermented, very strong fermentation.
Yeah.
So we blend.
Okay.
So we do a little bit of wash for the blending.
Okay.
So this is a solar dehydrator, pretty much.
And it doesn't matter what layer. It
No.
dries pretty much the same.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe the top ones are faster.
Okay.
So we, when it comes from the patio, it goes on the top, and then we move it to the bottom
Okay,
to
so
do
you
a
guys
slower.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought this farm 14 years ago,
Okay.
and I started with the coffee thing about 12 years ago.
Okay.
I'm a civil engineer, and I have a construction company. I do underground drilling
Okay.
to go across roads
Yep.
with the utility services.
Okay.
And so that's how we make a living out of that.
Okay.
This is just kind of like a hobby.
A
thing.
hobby and fun.
Okay.
And how many acres do you have for your farm?
Be about 14 acres.
Okay.
And because it's such a small operation, if you have a larger, I mean, if you produce more than, say, I don't know, 100,000 pounds, for example, then you're good. The business works out. But if you're a small producer and you don't have high yield, you're broke.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no
Yeah,
way.
no way. That motor moves this fan, and when it does it, it sucks air from the cooling bin and throws it through here, and there's a gas thing here,
Okay.
and it heats up the air, and the coffee is sitting here, and we can look at it through here, and so the air heats up, and so the coffee starts floating on a bed of
okay.
hot air, and that's how it roasts. 10 minutes of that, and it's ready.
So then the cooling process here, there's just
Right.
going, like your machine has a like
Yeah.
circular
Cooling.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So this is just strictly air cooled once it.
Right, yeah, what it does, it sucks air from the
Oh, okay, so
ambiance.
it's sucking in it. Okay,
Yeah,
because
and
you
it
said
throws
this comes
it in
in
here.
here and
It's
okay.
top down. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right.
I've never seen a machine like this one. I've seen the traditional.
Right,
You know,
drum roasters.
Yes.
Which have a horizontal drum.
Yeah.
And that drum has a gas things there where the flames come
Yeah.
out. And what they do is they heat the drum. And the heated drum is what holds the beans. This is a stainless steel. Those heated drums are usually cast iron.
Okay.
And this is stainless steel. So everything that touches the beans is stainless steel here. And what heats it up is the air. Hot air,
Okay.
not a hot drum.
Any difference in roasting time? Is this technique versus?
No, it's pretty much, yeah, you
Pretty
can
much
do
the same.
10-minute roast or 20-minute roast if you want. The bag can be used for 250 or 340, the same bag.
Okay.
And we do 40 kilos. So she takes usually 4 or 6 of those, and then some of the finished bags. And the other ones is she packs them in her own bags.
This and Cafe Finca than us, 'cause we're
Can you explain the SL28?
the
What?
Yeah, he can explain.
Okay, SL stands for
Scott Laboratories.
Scott Laboratories,
Okay.
which was a company in Kenya.
Okay.
Some years back, and they came out with several varieties or hybrids of the coffee plants,
Okay.
and the 28 was one of them. And so we got some beans several years ago in Costa Rica, and first the engineers that are working at Starbucks now, they had their own operation, growing strange, different kind of genetic material.
Okay.
And then they got hired by Starbucks, so they work for Starbucks now. And so they gave us some beans about 4 years ago, and so that's where.
So once you get the beans from them, you can just work off of what you already have every season, or when you have to
own semiera.
Gotcha. Okay. So wonderful. Thank you. So how is this different from what the awards you have at yours?
Well,
I think
we
this is
won-
2022, right?
This is
Yeah, that was last
2022.
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they won best sustainable coffee, and then for best quality for another, I don't
Right,
remember
and
what.
then women's coffee because my wife was in there.
Okay.
So one of those is women's.
And then the
certifications, yeah.
sustainability, how does that, what defines that?
That's well, it's that your practices are good for long-term production of coffee.
And the environment as a whole.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure the environment.
Yeah.
But
Simon,
but sustainable
and
is not
social.
just the environment.
Right.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's also your relationship with the community,
Yeah,
and the
social part.
socio and economic involvement.
okay.
It's education and training of everybody, your clients, your staff. It's service. It's a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very-